Gus Pynn of Sacrifice. Welcome to 69 Faces of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm not doing too bad for a Tuesday. It's been a busy one for me and my personal life and obviously my music life. It's all coming to the surface now, obviously.
It's a new cycle.
I like it. I'm not complaining.
Um, First of all, congratulations on the new album. Why do you think the time was right for the new Sacrifice album?
Uh no, nothing planned, you know what I'm saying, Mark? For us it was over a long period. I mean, everybody's already talked about the 16 years that's passed, so I get that. It took us, you know, probably about 7 years before we started writing new stuff. And Comatose Missile and Underneath Millennium were three songs that we were able to get out of the coffin right away. And we worked on those three for basically the 7 years that it took to record the album,
Mhm.
or 6 years to record it. But I mean, the pandemic got in the way as well, right? And yeah, it was uh 7 years it took to write it. That it was it actually seven? I wouldn't say that it was. I mean, it took maybe him his writing is with the pandemic hit, we kind of dried up for a couple years, and then he had another writing spurt, and I loved it. We continued to work on the album, and I specifically mean Black Hashish,
Mhm.
Mass Extinction took effect. Uh, have you heard the whole thing yet, Mark?
Bits and pieces, but everything I heard, I love.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you haven't heard the whole album yet.
not yet, not yet.
Okay, okay. And so it's been, yeah. So like, Antidote was a last minute song for us. Uh, We Will Not Survive was more or less a last minute song. I know you haven't heard those yet. Um, some of the songs we've worked on for, I guess, quite a long time, specifically Comatose Missile and Underneath Millennia. So those were done. Explode was more or less a pandemic song, but World War V took precedent during that time, and we only put out the one single. But he had the song. I laid it down at a friend's place, and off we went. He put it out, and everybody seemed to like it.
Mhm.
I can't say they like it as much as the new one. They definitely gravitated to it, and they wanted more for sure.
Now, in the grand scheme of things, where does Volume 6 fit in the Sacrifice world?
Uh, very happy with it. Very happy with the quality of the songs. I personally love the album. I love playing it. We all enjoy playing it. We've played quite a bit of it as a band this last year in 24, and I specifically mean that where we played Maryland, we played Belgium, and then we also played in Oakland. So each time we all got together over those rehearsal sessions, uh, we played the new stuff, and we played it very well, and it was very we were pretty enthusiastic about it because we as a band, I mean, mostly it was just Rob and I who had put those songs together, and it wasn't until last year that we actually played it as a four piece. But now that they hadn't had lots of practice, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously recording the record, you're going to listen to it a lot, play it a lot, and I thought those guys adjusted really well, learned everything, especially Joe. Joe had to learn all of Rob's rhythms and play his leads, so he was completely in tune with that. So I was super happy about where he was and Scott was when we actually played those new songs, and they went off without a hitch. And for us, yeah, we're extremely happy with that album,
Mhm.
just like we were with Condemned. And what can I say? The first three albums are, are 40 almost 40 years history now. Like this June will be 40 years for me in the band, and September of I guess '85 is when I recorded Torment and Fire. It wasn't until '86 when it finally came out and was circulating. But I know in Toronto when we did that album, Diabolic Force had it on the streets pretty quick. That's that fall, and everybody knew about us. And then leading into the end of '85, going into '86, when it came out, it just fueled everybody, and we got to play a lot more shows, and then we were continuing to write for Determination. So
Yeah.
all that stuff for us is, basically V6 is as a group, we all love it, and we are pretty happy about playing it.
Was there any pressure on the band to come up with material that's going to live up to your previous releases?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I think with us, the only pressure that it comes within. There's never any external pressure. I mean, people are going to talk. People are going to say what they want to say. But for me, Rob, Joe, Scott, it's useless information, and we don't really care.
Mhm.
We basically have done stuff ourselves, right? Our way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's back to the original guys. What kind of a dynamic do the four of you share?
Perfect chemistry, I think. I mean, it's chemistry that's lasted for 40 years. I think our stretch since we reunited in '06 and played Equinox has uh, never been happier, to be quite honest, Mark. Super happy about what we were able to do when we got back together again. The new album was, uh, I'm going to be honest with you, it was a scary experience for me. Not so much for those guys, but I wasn't quite sure how people were going to react after, for me, Soldiers was my last piece of work um, coming from the band. So to be able to live up to that album, in my opinion, the way I played and how I felt about how I played that album, it was a lot to live up to. So the standard was set high, and everybody seemed to really enjoy Condemned. And then that basically led to this.
Mhm.
And the fact that we still play together and we've played everywhere because of it, really.
Are your working habits still the same as they were when you started the band back in the 80s?
Uh, yes and no. I mean, back in the '80s, it was more of a weekly thing, but the four of us, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it was always the four of us, always in the same room, always playing, always writing, always pushing forward. Now it's the dynamics change where it's those guys are coming in at sporadic times. Not that they're not privy to what we're doing, and whether it be new songs or getting ready to play for shows. Those guys were always ready to play, always uh, ready to even write new stuff. That was the best part. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's been a I think it's been going forward. It's been perfect for us.
Yeah. In fact, as we get a little bit older, how do you guys balance between the band and your personal lives?
Yeah, we do. It's amazing that we do. Yeah, and we've continued to do it. But I mean, it's more of a weekend thing for him and I, and not so much a weekly thing. Weekly, we're obviously working, but we're still being, active, going to shows. I mean, I still attend a lot of concerts, see a lot of things with my own eyes. So a lot of stuff is still inspirational.
Mhm.
Uh, I would say the same thing for Rob. I'm more sporadic for him. Uh, but when he does get a chance to go see stuff, I find that it's duly noted, and we talk about certain things quite a bit, and what keeps us pushing forward, eh?
Mhm. Now, Sacrifice's style is instantly recognizable. How would you describe it, and how long did it take you to develop it?
Oof. I think um, I think it was there even before I got there, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
It, I mean, I got in the band and they already had a lot of those songs written and developed. I mean, "Turn in Your Grave" was already a song before I got there, and then they gave me a lot of demoed stuff, just like they've always done, and had me learn stuff based on ideas they had kicking, or we just sat in a room and they just came to us, and that's probably been. That's what I talk about when that comes to chemistry for us and our sound. But yeah, I don't think it's ever been something that we've consciously thought about. It's just been, I think it's just organic and it just comes to us based on how we play and what drives us. You could just, I mean, I know when I'm in a room and they're all there and we're clicking and it sounds really good and you know there's less concentration on what they're playing and more eye contact and feeling good about what we're doing. So I like it when it gets to that point, as opposed to them worrying about what's next, right?
Yeah. In fact, I mean, you've made three incredible records back in the 80s. I mean, three classics. You had the talent, you had the originality, style, yet the band wasn't as successful as it should have been. What part of the puzzle was missing?
I think, man, it's you think about us Canadians, right? We always seem to get like stuff like that, but yeah, maybe we just didn't do certain things. Like for me, I mean, I always thought if we played LA and New York City in those 5 years, maybe things would have been a little bit different. It never did. It never did happen for us. Although, I mean, we got to play places like Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, Buffalo, Rochester, and it's funny how we hit all those Midwest states, and we played all those markets, and for whatever reason, all those are incredibly memorable. But yeah, I guess because maybe we never played New York or played LA, it just never it never got to maybe the level that it could have. Who knows? I mean, I was still happy with what we were doing and where we were going. Sure, it could have been better, but not everything is cut and dry, especially in the 80s. 80s was still if you I always thought if you weren't Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, it's so hard to get shows, push through, get shows. At times we were lucky, and at times we were still doing a lot of stuff ourselves.
Mhm.
And persistence, I guess. We got to play for enough guys that who did see us. We left an impression with them. So I can't complain. I can't complain about that. It's all part and parcel about what the 80s brought, right? It didn't have the kind of infrastructure it has now. That's my personal belief, Mark.
Yeah.
The infrastructure now is just staggering, like the amount of bands and but I mean it's still difficult to make money.
True. There's a lot of people competing
I
for
mean
it.
that's probably I think basically that's probably the hardest thing to do really is make money and be successful and make enough money at the shows and you keep your purses and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's been the stigma of, I mean, you look at all the great bands that came out of the 80s, and there's a shitload of them. We all struggle. We all struggle to make money. And yeah, maybe a lot of us should have been a little bit as big as the Slayer, Megadeth, and Testaments and Death Angels. I think those guys probably did way better because they're pretty persistent. Is that the case? I mean, a lot of them toured. I mean, look at Sepultura. Like, shit, man, those guys came to North America and they never stopped. To be honest.
I have to agree with that. Anyways, let's get back to the new album. So I'm gonna throw some songs at you, and maybe you can give me some descriptions. The album opens up with "Comatose." What can you tell me about that song?
Oh, that's probably between that and "We Will Not Survive." Probably the best ball kickers on this album. I know when me and Rob did that song, he goes, "I want this to be the opener, Gus." He goes, "I want you to give me everything on this." So when we finished it, yeah, I was very curious about how many beats I played a minute and what I finished at, and it was what I expect from me. I start at one speed, and I start at 220, and I finish at 260. So it's amazing. I can go up that register and play at that speed, and they nothing gets lost, or you don't really hear it, but when I sat there and I discussed it with Darius when we recorded it, I said, "I'm just curious, man. How many beats per minute I play that song?" He goes, "Well." you start at 220 and you finish at 260. You know, to be honest, Mark, what can I tell you? But that was that when I learned that and we finished it and we mixed it, I thought, yeah, that's going to be a good rager to start the album for sure.
Antidote of Poison.
Uh, it took us 3 hours to write that in the studio. I played 2 minutes of it in July of 2023. We hadn't touched it since, but we got in the studio. We had it in demo form. Last day of the session, we started about noon, got to about 3 o'clock, and had a bite to eat. Went back probably about 90 minutes later, finished it in 90 minutes, the fast part, and then they all said, "Okay, we need some fills." I said, "Okay," and so I gave them a whole bunch of fills, and they put it all together and pieced it in. And I said, "What do you think now?" And they were like, "Yep, that's a great one." And I'm to this day, it's my favorite song on the record, and I'm extremely happy to. I can't wait to play it live. I'll tell you that. Can't wait.
The current single, Missile.
Love it. That's that's a surpriser right now. I'm pretty surprised how incredibly happy everybody is with that single. That's probably if you want to talk about classic us, that's probably it in a nutshell, really.
Oh, yes.
And the rest of the album is pretty much par for the course, just like that song. And I'm pretty happy about that.
Underneath Millennia.
That's a personal crush for me and Rob. To be honest, it's a lot of me, a lot of him. So what can I tell you? That one puts a big smile on my face in a big way.
I can totally see it. Your hunger for war.
That was a song of patience, especially on my part, because this to play at that patient level, at least the way I play, was a little unusual because when I record, I don't use a click track. I play from internal, so that's one thing I'm super proud about. But yeah, that was a little bit of a grind for me, Mark. But when we finished it, I was super happy with the results, how it all came together, and what was the net result. So uh, if you haven't heard it yet, it's probably one of my favorites. I'd say top three songs on the album.
Incoming Mass Extinction.
Probably the best middle riff Rob's ever played. I every time I play that song in my car, as soon as he starts playing the middle solo riff, I want to rip the steering wheel out of my car and throw it at people.
Lunar Eclipse.
Lunar Eclipse. That's yeah. That's it's kind of like something we fell in love with. It's like a nice warm up for the two of us, and it just seems to fit in that spot between mass extinction and of course my favorite uh, explode. So yeah, it worked out really well.
That's right. You mentioned Explode now, but Black Hashish.
Oh, that that right there is that's a special one between me and Rob. We fell in love with that song. He gave me the demo of it probably 2014, 2015. As soon as he gave it to me, I said, "Oh," I said, "We're doing this song." I said, "I don't give a shit what anybody thinks." I said, "I love it." I said, "I love everything about it, and we're going to do it." And he goes, "Great." So that's what we did, and we recorded it. Some people like it, some people don't. So it's a 50-50 with that song. And from me to you, I don't fucking care because I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite to play. Uh, I hope maybe one day we get a chance to break it out and show people what it's like to play that song.
We definitely should. We Will Not Survive.
That was a difficult one for me. Very difficult. That song probably started the end of 22. By the time we got to the middle of summer, we played that song quite a bit. It was a lot more difficult in the room to write. We had it all in parts where we could get most of it written. But basically, yeah, that was a tough one for me to play, as opposed to those guys. But it came off really well. I was super happy with the production of it, the final result of it, where it fits on the album, how it balances Comatose and it, and everything in between. And then, yeah, you know what the last song is.
The last song, Trapped in the World.
Yes, that came out of nowhere, and I was kind of surprised about it. We kind of decided on that one while we were there, and they were like, "So what do you think?" I said, "Okay." Well, me and Rob spent I don't know, maybe about an hour learning it, and then we laid it down. Didn't take much time, which was I was pretty happy about. So for me, it was yeah, that was a song that we clicked off pretty quick, and I like the I like that punk side of us. I always have.
Yeah. What are your hopes for this album?
I don't know. I'm more interested in, I mean, come on, between me and you, the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, the 60-year-old guys, they all know who we are. Uh, the younger generation, some of them know who we are. Most of them don't. Uh, I'm hoping that they get their hands on this and it opens up their minds to what we've done the last 40 years. That's my hope. Uh, Anything after that's a bonus. I think as a band we're pretty focused on who we are, what we are, and where we're going. But I mean, I'm not going to be upset if the album goes viral.
Mhm.
If it makes us really, really big, then I'll take it, and then we'll see what that brings us. I don't know. Between me and you, I don't know. I know how I feel about the record, and it should. I think it's gonna, wake some people up, especially the young crowd. That's what I'm hoping.
In any case, is this the last Sacrifice record, or you think there'll be more?
That's a good question.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I know how old we are. Uh, is there another one in us? Uh, I'd be lying to you to say that there wasn't. Uh, could there possibly be? Maybe, but this very well could be the last one because consuming the amount of time and effort and patience it takes to do one, like uh, you kind of feel exhausted after. Like tomorrow is the day where they finally go and pick them up, and I'm gonna have physical copies within the next week. So to finally get it, to break it open, to smell it again, and to get that rush that I had when we played the last album and got it and got my final copies of that, it's incredibly rewarding. But to say that, I'd be lying to you to say that we won't or we will. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't tell you. I'd be, I would feel bad to say, okay, we're not going to do one, and then all of a sudden we do one. It's hard to say, right? I mean, it all depends on how everybody enjoys this record, but if it just turns out to be like on the same level as Condemned, I say yeah, it might well be.
Either way, if it is the last, what a way to go out on top.
Oh, I'm super happy about it. Super, super happy. It's been this journey has been really, really good. I've been happy, really happy about it, like from the get-go and to the final product that we have now. It's I'm really happy with the net result, what everybody thinks about it. The singles have been doing really, really well, so I can't complain. It hasn't even come out yet, so North America is about to get their hands on this in the next, I guess, 60 days. So
And
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens.
and why the title Volume 6? I mean, obviously it's the sixth record, but is there anything else underneath that title?
Not really. I think Rob didn't want to take focus off of, if if you name it after one of the songs, it's like you said, I've read statements from where next thing you know, that becomes the focal point of the album. We wanted all 11 songs to be the focal point as opposed to the name of the album. And I agree with him. I'm more interested in what people think about the 40 minutes as opposed to the title of the record. Some people think it's mundane, but I thought it'd be great. I thought it was great when he told me about it. I said, "Yeah, man, that's great." And but we gave the cover to Todd to do, and he put it all together. And from everything I've seen on the final product, I cannot complain one bit.
What plans do you have when it comes to promotion of that album? How will it look like? Will you be available to tour? What's the plan?
Uh, no plans. I'm gonna put it out and see what happens. We got stuff planned this year already. A local show has been screamed at us for the longest time. So to play Toronto is considering how loud they've been about finally getting a show and having us play in Toronto again has been incredibly loud. So we've been actively trying to work on that and get that solidified and to get a date nailed down for that. Hopefully something gets done soon and we get to announce it and we get to finally play in Toronto again. So that I'm looking forward to. South America keeps calling us in the biggest way possible, especially Santiago, Chile. They've been number one for us for the longest time. So I think South America's in the cards for us again. I know they've been bugging us to play, south of the U.S. and Mexico and Central America. So possibly, yeah, we might get a chance to do that.
That makes sense. Um, about a few weeks ago, maybe a few days ago, I came across a post on Facebook stating that Torment and Fire turned 39 years old. Um,
That's true.
I know,
That's true
right?
because it was January of '86 when it came out, right? So, but for me, it's 40 years for me this summer because
Yep.
I did Exorcism in June of '85, recorded Torment and Fire in September of '85, and it was more or less on the streets here before the end of the year in Toronto before it ended up in the States and Europe to markets there. But yeah, it's 39 years old and not lost on me, not lost on the fact that we've been together 40 years this year.
How do you look back on that record? That's your first intro into, wider.
I still love playing it. Yeah, I still love playing a lot of songs off of that. I love playing it so much that I did a cover with my son-in-law's band with it, with Sacrifice, and I still love playing all the songs off that. We continue to this very day to play "Turning Your Grave" at every single show we've ever played since we reunited. So that in itself speaks volumes about this band and what we still think about that record. Now, be it for me, I'm waiting for Scott to play Decapitation, Warrior of Death, and maybe Beyond Death. And I'm just kidding. He'll never play those fucking songs. He's been telling me that for the last 20 years. But well, we still listen, Mark. We still enjoy playing a lot of stuff off that record.
That brings
And
back
every time we pull a Necronomicon, man, I never bitch about that. Now I'll play it for them in 2 seconds.
that brings back Cabaret Metro memories for me.
See, see, everybody remembers all that stuff, right? But I mean, amongst us, that's great. But I mean, the younger generation, all they have is the record itself, and I mean, maybe a lot of old YouTube videos of us playing. But I mean, for me, it's still etched in my brain about how it all came together and how we continue to strive to get better as musicians, even when we recorded that record. And to this day, it's still. I mean, I can't. I mean, considering the production and stuff and how young we were, and I mean, at that time, I was so raw playing thrash that it sounded just like that. But I mean, you get more refined as we get the For Determination, and then my drumming by the time I got to Soldiers was what I consider my peak. at this in this genre. But I mean, I still have done pretty good quality records with the last two as well. And then Mike did Apocalypse, so the catalog speaks for itself, man. We've written a lot of great albums that continue to resonate with everybody. So I'm really happy about it.
Finally, the band's been around for what, 40, 42 years. What kept you going through all of these ups and downs?
I think with us it's been more ups than downs, to be honest. We've definitely enjoyed playing a lot more now in our older years. Not that the younger years weren't great, because they were. Um, I just think we're in better places mentally, financially, socially, all that stuff at this age than we were when we were, 19, 20, and we're starving to make a fucking dollar and shit. Um, yeah, I think that pressure does it's not so much an issue anymore, and we're just happier to be a band. And I know there's been a million conversations with Rob about our place in the band, and what he thinks, and how how he wants the band to evolve. And to each guy, we love that direction, and the fact that we're still all together, and still pushing forward. So it's like you said, man. I want to play some shows, and I'm excited to see what's gonna come. That's the bottom line. I mean, there's so many fucking bands out there that I want to play with, that I know that if we play with them, the shows will be fucking massive. So it's just a matter of, here we are, we're waiting. Let's play some shows.
Fantastic. Well, Gus, thank you so much for speaking with me, and good luck with the new album.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you, Mark, and absolute pleasure.